We process a few 100,000 pounds of product every night. We have the world's largest dry age room supplying some of the most noteworthy restaurants in the country. Being Pat LaFrieda in our company comes with a huge responsibility in that every decision I make, I have to take into account the future of our 276 staff to continue this plight that my grandfather took us on back in 1922. My dad took me to work with him to expose me to the cold, to the hours, to the harshness. I am here every night, overnight, to make sure the meat is right and it gets out on time. Hey, I'm Pat LaFrieda. This is Pat LaFrieda Meat Purveyors. We have a few 100,000 pounds of meat to process and get delivered by tomorrow morning to a few thousand restaurants. So let's get to work. Come on inside. We have a few security doors to get through. We do feed about well over 1 million people a week. So food security is very important here. Yet another one. We're gonna head now into production. It is 6:20 right now. Our first trucks leave at 2 a.m. and those are for Boston and DC. This is where most of our beef will come in. It's put on these racks. This is a robot type system in which 2,000-pound pallets get picked up and brought to the other side and vice versa as product is finished. Each of these has about 2,000 pounds of product that's already been tested. We have a USDA inspector in each facility. So they have an office in our buildings and they're here with us throughout production throughout the night. Every day, each of these machines in the morning, like when we're done with production, they get broken down to their primal parts. Each part is inspected, sanitized, cleaned, and then put back together in anticipation of us doing a preoperative inspection before we begin. We're gonna go visit Elvira Cunha. She's the head of QC. She'll be swabbing some items to make sure that our cleaning crew did what they're supposed to do. We'll choose different parts of the machine, ones that we think that are hardest to sanitize, and then swab those and then put it into this machine. And this machine will give us a reading. Our entire value as a company that's existed for 100 years can be lost in a second by just not following the safety protocols. So it's something we take very seriously. In a USDA facility, even the floors get power washed, the walls, the ceilings. Pathogens can live anywhere. This is the final test to see if, on a microscopic level, are we getting down to all of those proteins and all of those fatty acids so that we're not working on top of anything from the day before. So results on this, that looks great, which just gave us a 0 pathogen reading for fatty acids and for protein so that they don't exist. Well, why don't we close the hatch and let them run some products through it. This is where we program what size we want those steaks to be. Can you do me a favor? Can you set this to 44 porterhouse and give me 18 T-bone? All of this is customizable. The meat business is a very repetitive business, but restaurants each have their own spec. So when we dry age beef, like this is about 28 days, and we can feel how dry the outside is, and it gets a little darker. That's what's drawing water from it. By doing that, we're leaving behind a denser beef flavor and also the water that you would normally have to cook out during the cooking process, it's already out. So you're not steaming a steak and you won't have that gray cafeteria look in using the dry age process. But what we have to do is we have to shave that first face off. So just a paper thin slice off of that, and then we're going to go into our porterhouse steaks, which really run out to here. T-bones are about this section, and this is New York strip steak. Now laser is going to check the circumference of it so that we can enter in exactly how many ounces we want each porterhouse to be. Now in my dad's day, this was a dream. Like my grandfather never thought we would ever be able to have laser cutters. When I was a child and I worked with my dad on every day off I had from school, we had 2 drivers and our fleet consisted of 2 vans. My mom did the accounting and the bookkeeping, and my dad and 1 or 2 others were the butchers. Now we have a staff of 276, 52 trucks plus 2 tractor trailers, and it's a fleet of its own.
The first cut is going to cut off the exterior dry age, and then as you see,
It's gonna cut porterhouses the same weight. It has just got 2 porterhouse steaks within 1/2 of an ounce variance, which is as accurate as our industry demands. So a machine like this, several $100,000, but it gives us 2 things. Number 1, safety. The second thing is it increases our efficiency by 6%. 6% in our business is huge. But we have these bandsaws, and some of my staff prefer and feel safer using a bandsaw. If you see the colored gloves that they're wearing, this green, if the eye of that machine sees that green color within 1 inch of it, it stops immediately using a pneumatic brake in 0.02 seconds. So the most we've ever had here is an injury that maybe would have cost someone their hand or at least a few fingers, down to 1 stitch. These machines are about 10 times more than what a regular bandsaw costs. So they're about $150,000 each, but one of the best investments we've ever made. One of the greatest things to happen to my industry are the use of cell phone pictures. I just got a picture of one of the machines is not filling burgers correctly. We call that a tongue. So the meat, it's getting overworked and overpushed into its form to the point where some of it's coming out. So if that was a 7-ounce burger, it's gonna weigh 8 ounces. That's gotta be a round burger, and we have to get to the bottom of it. Isaac, can you show me that tongue? Too much pressure is pushing through is one of the possibilities, but it looks like as we went on, it kind of corrected itself. We have 5 other QCs, but the QCs are really down to the operators. Like, they bring it to my attention. Otherwise, we would find out 10,000 pounds later that we have a problem that now it's too late to fix. So fixing it at this point is perfect. Did you slow it down? 20 strokes per minute?
Yeah.
You're going too fast because it's Thursday night? The meat can only fill so quickly. It's Thursday night, it's busy. They know it's busy. And it looks like they had set the machine too quickly. So it's really pushing that meat in. This man is responsible, for some of the greatest burgers in New York City, like Red Hook Tavern. If he doesn't make Red Hook, we're in trouble. In all, we have about 200,000 pounds of burger meat that we will grind tonight. At the head of all of this, the person who choreographs what blends we're working on and when is Willie, and he's up top. I always check in with him. He'll give me a really happy thumbs up if everything's going well, or he'll stop me and we'll have a conversation about what's not going right. Where it all starts is up here. Yo! Everything going good?
Good, very good.
Man is a genius. He'll get those first initial labels and he'll get counts of everything that he needs to make. And then he'll dictate, okay, you guys over there on this blend, you guys over here on this blend. He's putting the initial grinds through. Those grinds are going up this conveyor and they get sprayed with a pyrusitic acid, which is an intervention that the USDA prefers. And that retards the growth of any pathogen that may be on the product. He will then mix, depending on what's coming out of each combo bin, what he dictates to each side. So we see nice big pieces of fat, nice big pieces of protein, and then it's got to get mixed. That's what the next stage does. And then go up to that conveyor. That cross conveyor will then separate it into one of 4 machines there or one of 4 machines on that side. We make about 2 to 250 different blends of meat, and those blends could be different cuts of meat and different types of meat. Like, for instance, Shake Shack uses only ABF. That's no growth hormones, that's no antibiotics. They are the largest consumer, the largest purchaser of ABF product in the world. This is one of like 25 check-ins I'll do with Willie tonight. Right now, everything's okay. I need to check in with Eduardo Matillo. He's one of my senior butchers, and we've had some issues in the last few nights. So, most notably, hanger steaks. You have any hanger steak over here today?
Yeah.
So you back to tomahawks?
Yeah, tomahawk.
Hanger steaks which is the butcher's cut, is a very important cut for our restaurant groups. One restaurant group in particular is Steven Starr. He owns about 25 different restaurants. Most of them use hanger steak. It's one of his favorite cuts, but he likes it cut a certain way. So I want to make sure Manny's doing it the right way. So a hanger steak it's not symmetrical. So you'll have 2/3 of the muscle on one side and then 1/3 on the other. There are two ways to serve a hanger steak. One is to cut them really long like this. That's really not what Steven wants. He wants shorter, wider pieces that all look very homogeneous. As you can see here, it's got a piece of sinew that separates these two muscles, and that's the first thing that needs to be removed. What I like to do first is to clear the outside so that I can see what I'm looking at. I'm gonna take this silver skin off. This goes back 3 generations. This is something that my grandfather taught me how to cut. So when I was 10, I stood on a milk crate with my dad to my left and my grandfather to my right, and I was only trusted in splitting and tying inside rounds, and then slowly progressed towards things that took a little bit more skill. Like this piece of fat here, we want to get this off without taking off too much protein, because the more protein you take off, the less the yield is, the more expensive it costs. This particular client, Steven, at his point in his life, he doesn't need to call me to ask me about specific cuts and what would be best, but that's the type of operator he is. And I really have respect for restaurant owners that are still in the trenches asking the important questions to determine what's best for their restaurants. So what I'm doing now is take this, and because there's a silver skin goes through the center of these two muscles, you can see the septum right here. I need to cut right on top of that. So almost shaving, you can see that silver skin. It takes years to be able to develop a feel for where does that end and where does that begin. So as I cut down, I want to cut right up against that, because that part has to come out. That part is just too tough. Find it again, and then I'm going to use that as a handle, and then I'm going to remove it. Now I'll have my 2 pieces of edible hanger steak. Where this would be not a bad steak, but you see how it's very long? He doesn't think that's very appetizing, so in the way that it's shaped, if this is 11 ounces, I know I can only get 1 8-ounce portion out of that. So from one side, I'll take about 3 ounces off, and that's gonna be my 1 8-ounce portion. And then with this side, I'm able to cut 2 more. So I'm able to get 3 portions out of this with very little trim. So that will increase my yield. Now I need to take my gross weight and figure out what did it cost me, and then what is it I'm able to sell, which is 1.5 pounds out of something that started at about 3. You know, the yield is about 50%. So if it costs me $5, I have to charge 10. And that kind of math is something that we do all night long. I'm constantly asking my team for gross and nets, because that's how we know. It's one thing to like cut it to spec, but you have to cut it efficiently so that it's affordable for the customer. So right now, beef prices are higher than they've ever been. So the amount of cattle right now are as low as they were in 1971. Anytime that happens, customers ask for a second look at an economy cut. This is not a very tender piece of meat. It was called a butcher steak because it wasn't easy to sell. So the butchers wound up taking it home. So growing up, this is something that like my dad would have brought home. By the end of the night, we'll have a few thousand pounds of trim, and we have a rendering company that will come pick it up from us. And some of those companies will turn it into dog food or something else that's even humanly edible, but it's nothing that we have use for here. As Manny finishes up on hangers, I would love to go around and see the other 2 combos that came in for our newest beef line, which is the PLF Prime. It's hand selected. It's supposed to be the top 10% of marbling. This would be the first time ever looking at it, so let's see what it looks like. We'll take photos now of the eye and see how much marbling this has compared to prime that we have in any of these other tables. In beef, we purchase about 5 million pounds a week. It's a lot of product, and we pay for it within 7 days So everything behind these walls, over $10 million worth of beef in here, all of that is paid for. All of the risk is on me. I mean, I see some really good pieces here, like this. This is what we're looking for. This is where the USDA determines whether it's select, choice, or prime. Prime being the highest grade, choice being underneath that, and select being underneath that. It's not only intramuscular fat, it's also has to do with cartilage. If cartilage has turned into bone, it's an older animal, it would not qualify. So the meat has to be around 22 to 24 months of age. We're putting them on the table right now because we want to take a look at them side by side so we can see what exactly it is. I can tell you right now, this marbling, this is all abundant. This is what they would call abundant. I don't see any, as we would say, dogs in here that barely made it to prime. I want to label this PLF prime on the label so we keep it separate, different shelves. We tag the lot number, the gross weight, and the date that it goes in there. Now, all of the PLF prime is labeled. We're going to now bring it into the dry age room. It is the largest dry aged beef room in the world, holding 15,000 primals. Each primal is about 25 pounds. There's no hook that's ever pierced them so that they don't get this bacteria channel that goes through them. And the whole idea here is to control the humidity and the wind circulation and the temperature, with the idea of when we shut the lights off in here, UV lights come on and it kills any pathogen. And we're able to dry age beef up to, we did as far as 1 year. But the more we dry age it, the more water we're extracting. And what happens is it leaves a denser beef flavor and something that's a lot more tender. So this goes all the way and was designed for these to be tracks for the machine to be able to get to the other side, make a U-turn, and then come back. Like here we'll have tomahawks, short loins. Here's a good example of something that's about 30 to 40 days, where we start to see the protein gets retracted, but the fat and the bone will not, because there's no water for that to lose, and it's losing water at the right speed so that it gets that real earthy beef flavor. Each piece is about 3/4 of a square foot, and that's one of the ways we measure it as to how many we can get in here. What we're gonna do is keep these separate, dry age them for 45 to 60 days, and then try them and see exactly how much better they taste, how much more tender they are. I'm in here every day checking the meat that we're receiving. Around this room, we have about 5 different sensors. They go right to our cell phones. So if there's a deviation in the settings of the room, that's the humidity, the temperature, the wind circulation, it will tell us right away. We were rated for 1 unit to be able to control the humidity. We bought 2, because you just cannot risk this much product in hopes that that machinery is going to work. That's what we use the drone for. So we're gonna go take a ride on the drone because the weather's warm out. We need to make sure that all of our units on the rooftops, they're all operational. As the temperature gets warmer, this is a crucial tool that we use to make sure that our refrigeration units are all working operationally. We use a thermal drone to do so. So we'll take a look at it. I'll print the report out and then provide it to our service provider in the daytime. So right now, in order to generate cold, we need to generate heat. So the white signature of the thermal is heat. So each of those units is working. If one wasn't working, it would be darker. And I do see one right here that's dark. I see 2 that are dark. What I think is happening is because the door's open right now, these freezer units are filling the refrigeration room with enough cold air that they don't need to turn on. Like a thermostat, it doesn't need to turn on. I'm still going to send this report in because this one here, the fans are not moving. That means it's off completely. Because what happens when you have redundant systems is that when one goes down, the other ones pick up for it, and then you don't know if that you're on the redundant system. When the redundant system goes, that's usually when people find out, and it's too late. We're talking about 32 different systems. From this facility, I can check the units here, and then I can fly the few hundred yards over and check the units there. As soon as the temperature in any of our facility goes above 40 degrees, the USDA has all the right to withdraw our inspection, which means to close us. What's at stake here is the amount of meat that we would lose. So with over 1 million pounds of product in each facility, we're now talking about $30 million. Okay, so we're done here. We've done our last task for the day, which is to check our units. But as you can see, our trucks are loading up. Our first trucks to Boston and DC have to leave. We have 52 trucks. It's a large fleet and it's a lot to manage. We had to buy different properties around this area just to park them. We sell meat and we sell a service. That service is to deliver. Our trucks are half of our business. To protect our drivers, we have cameras that are in the back of the cab so they can see if someone opens the door, which has happened. Meat is legal tender. And right now, meat is trading higher than it ever has in history. It's about 2 a.m. We have to now load all of that meat that we just cut and packed all night long. So time for me to get going and time for all of you to get going. But appreciate you taking a good look into what we do. Thank you all for coming.